What's up, Brave Hearts community? This is Sean Heineman here with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. Today is going to be another great episode because I have a special guest in the house with me. And today we are going to discuss sticky situations, the gift of goodbye. This is going to be a powerful episode because I got a chance to go through the book today and you are in for a treat. We're going to discuss questions such as what makes it hard to say goodbye to an unhealthy relationship. We're going to discuss how long is too long for the proposal for marriage. We're going to discuss, do you feel that the church has done a good job with teaching on relationships and marriage, and so many more questions. My guest today, she's an educator, a graduate of Mississippi State, where she obtained her bachelor's of science in educational psychology with an emphasis in counseling. During her time at Mississippi State, she became a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. Today, she serves as a middle school administrator and is committed to the mission of providing academic excellence for youth. I love that. Outside of her passion for youth and education, she has a love for and a deep devotion to Christ and helping others grow spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Brave Hearts community, let's show some love to author Kiera Taylor. How you doing, Kiera?
Doing great. Thank you for that warm welcome. I feel famous. I feel special.
Because you are.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Well, get used to it because there's plenty more coming in store for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. So first of all, how was your New Year's? This 2022, the first episode of
2022.
This year?
My New Year was good. I didn't really do anything but a vision board with my best friend, which was awesome. I don't like being out and about. I prefer to be at church, but with COVID, they did the online this year. So tuned in online and went with my best friend to do a vision board. So that was great. And I came home and went to bed because I'm old and I like going to sleep. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, we turned up last night, had family over. We was playing all kind of card games and stuff. And as some of you might, I know, actually, I'm not a spades guy, actually. Yeah. Everybody look at me sideways like, okay, so we're on the same team.
Yep.
Team no spades.
Black card revolt.
For real. Yeah. And some of you might have seen on my Facebook post yesterday, we was up at 1:30 doing push-ups. That's how turned up we were last night. But anyway, nevertheless, this isn't about me. This is about you today and discussing your book, Sticky Situations, The Gift of Goodbye. I love the title, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's jump into this. What inspired you to write Sticky Situations?
So initially, I just wanted to write a book, right? So ever since I was a little girl, I've had a love for writing, reading, all things journalism. That was me. So I don't think anybody is surprised that I wrote a book. I just had to decide what I wanted to write about. So I figured out, I think around 2012, when I was in college, that I wanted to write on the topic of love. I was feeling it very strong. I'm in love with love, like most women. Not so much now. I'll fast forward to that later. But at that time, I was infatuated with it. I'm a believer of marriage, all those great things. So I was like, when I get married, I'm going to tell the story about how I got to my husband. I'm going to walk everybody through that journey. Mm-hmm. But if you read my book, even Sean, with you reading parts of it, I'm sure you can put together that there was not a Prince Charming at the end of the story. So I was sitting on the couch one day and I was going through a breakup. I was dating somebody at the beginning of this year after coming off of a two-year hiatus of being, I was single. I was in my single season, right? I dated this guy for 3 years. We broke up. I didn't seriously date for 2 years after him. So this year I got into my first committed relationship since that relationship. Well, I got the idea to do Sticky Situations, to Gift of Goodbye. I got the title. So I'm thinking, oh, I've met this great guy. Now it's the time to write it. He's going to be the Prince Charming at the end. Well, by May, we were broken up. And it was hard, believe it or not. It was really hard because people, put equate love with time. And I can truly say, just having a healthy relationship after you've been in a toxic one, that is a harder attachment to let go of than an unhealthy one. So I was at home, I'm grieving, I'm doing the girl thing. I'm crying, ugly crying. And God audibly spoke to me and said, write it now. Write it now. And so I said, Lord, I don't feel like writing a book. I'm devastated. I don't want to talk about love. I don't want to talk about another failed relationship. I was kind of embarrassed, if I'm being honest, that I had been without a relationship for 2 years, and the thought of sharing with the world that I still hadn't had this thing figured out, I still hadn't met Prince Charming, it didn't make sense to me, right? Not in my carnal mind, it didn't make sense. But I was obedient. I got up, called my cousin who had written a book before. I said, look, God told me to write this book. He told me to do it right now. I don't know why, but I'm gonna call you so you can tell me where to start, because you've written a book before, you've done this. And so lo and behold, God is just great like that. My cousin was actually starting her publishing company, and she hadn't shared it with anybody. So she's the one that ended up publishing my book. So he prompted me in that moment, because she also needs to hear that in that moment. So that's how I got to Sticky Situations to Give the Goodbye. That's long story, but that's it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because and I appreciate, one thing I do love about the book is the transparency.
Yeah,
I believe that's something that we're missing by today's standards, especially with social media, and we're always posting our highlight reels.
absolutely.
And in this book, you're very transparent. I believe one reason why we struggle with relationships today, especially when it comes to passing on knowledge to our younger people, we don't share our vulnerabilities. We don't share the sleepless nights. We don't share the tears. We don't share that. We just talk about how we just made it.
Yeah.
And just a transparent moment for me. I've been through a divorce. Like, what I'm doing now, I've just rebranded.
Wow.
So I was doing this years ago. I was podcasting before podcasters were podcasting. Like, I was, yeah, I was in the infancy stages where people would call me and say, what is that thing that you're recording? What is that thing called? So I had a whole show before this while I was married in my first marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is rebranded.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you talk about transparency. I talk about my failures and things that didn't work. So yeah, so I appreciate that, because I think that's something that we're missing. So shout out to transparency.
Thank you. Thank you. I imagine, I know that you're the interviewer, but what is the feeling now? I watch your podcast. I'm a new fan since Jason put me on. So
Shout out to Jason.
Shout out to Jason. Love you, bro. I know he's gonna watch it. But I have watched, some of your episodes, and I heard you talk a little bit about how this relationship, completely different. And I love how you still have respect for your ex, and still, you're able to realize, like, I made mistakes in that wasn't it, and I continue to move on. So what is that feeling like versus when you were in that relationship doing your podcast to now in a new, I'm not going to say healthy relationship, but the relationship that God ordained for you? But what's the feeling of sitting, doing this right now versus then?
Good one. First of all, let me say, I will, I never talk bad about my ex, because I'm like, I married her, right? So why would I talk bad about somebody that I spent 14 years with?
Right.
I think
a lot about you.
Yeah, we need to take accountability for our actions. To answer your question, it's a feeling that I've never had before, because the first time around, I was actually making money from YouTube and stuff like that the first time around doing these videos.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had more than 150 videos, so I had to let all of that stuff go because she was in that content with me.
wow.
Yeah, so that back then it felt good because I achieved a lot of goals,
Mhm.
but in full transparency, I wasn't really following through with all the stuff that I taught.
Mm.
There was a lot of barriers, because they say those who don't know teach or something like that, you know. So this time around, I'm in therapy. You know, I have my individual therapist, my wife have her therapist, and we have a therapist together. Like we are fully committed to this.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really walking out what I talk about now. So I'm actually putting myself on display for the world to hold me accountable to a degree.
Right? They gonna hold you accountable for sure.
Yeah, and shout out to those who continue to rock with me even through those tough times. That's still because they can look at me and say, "Oh, you're a fraud, you're fake, you don't, you know, you didn't follow through." But we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question, but yes, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful feeling this time around. I feel
Yeah.
more complete. I feel more confident,
Mhm.
because my wife watched my content too, so she will she let me know about myself. Um,
Shout out to supportive women. Shout out to supportive women.
Kiara, we cannot put a price on a supportive spouse or significant. It's because she allowed me to do the space, to give me the space that I have now. She's just wonderful because we have three small kids at home.
Mm.
And she still allows me the time to work my craft because she knows this is what I love. I'm not good at anything else but doing this.
Yeah.
And besides being a dad and the husband, I mean, I'm great at
Yeah.
those things, but
Yeah.
yeah.
This is
So
your thing.
yeah, so shout out
Gotcha.
to those who support each other dreams in spite of.
Absolutely. Love
Mm.
it. Thank you for your transparency. I
Yeah.
put you in the hot seat. You supposed to be interviewing me.
You know what? And no, it's all good. You know, you the one with the new hot book out right now. I haven't wrote anything in years. So
You a fellow author. You a fellow author?
yes.
Okay.
I've written 5 books.
Oh, you got to send me a book. You got to send me a book.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You talked about wasting 4.5 years in a dead end relationship. What makes it hard to say goodbye to an unhealthy relationship for those who might be struggling because they know the relationship isn't going anywhere,
Yeah.
but they still kind of have a tendency to hold on to this hope?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Comfort.
Mm,
That's number one, right? Um, Men and women, I think men more so than women, we operate in comfort way more, than we walk into boldness. The fear of the unknown,
mm,
that saying, I rather dance with the devil I know,
yeah.
right? Because one thing that people underestimate is that every single relationship you get into is going to come with a quote unquote devil. There's going to be something that you don't like about your significant other. There's going to be those things that make you feel like I can't do it. And oftentimes, rather than us braving through it,
Mm,
just throw it all away. So then you go to the next relationship and you're ready to give up again because you see their new devil. So you rather stay with the devil you know. I don't want to get to know your flaws. I'd rather deal with the flaws that I already know. And then I would say the third reason, a big one for me, even from that age, I dated that guy, the 4-year relationship from my sophomore year in high school to my sophomore year in college. So even in my early 20s to now my early 30s, I feel the exact same thing about this third reason, and that's return on my investment.
mm,
I did not like the idea of putting so much, depositing so much into somebody, they becoming this great man, and you get to reap the benefits of it, right? Like that bothered me. Not anymore, but it did. It's always in the back of my mind, like a man is eventually gonna be everything you wanted him to be, but imagine it not being to you, and you're the one that quote unquote help mold him. So
mm,
I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I wanted to be comfortable. I wanted to stick it out. I wanted to see it through and get a return on my investment. I just did. I didn't want any other woman to reap the benefits of that man.
I love that. Oh
yeah.
My God, that is so good. I'm glad you said that, because I can say that for myself as well, that I've been through a divorce, and through my divorce, I became better.
Yep.
So my wife, so now that I'm remarried, she reaps the benefits because I realized what my personal issues were in my last marriage.
Absolutely. You grow, right? So I hated it because, like I said, even now I can say, like, almost every guy that I dated, almost every guy in that book, they went on to get married after me with everything I taught them. But I learned to be okay with it. Like, I learned to be okay with the fact that somebody is going to be the molder of someone else. When I receive my husband, some other woman, I'm going to be reaping the benefits of what he learned from her. So I'm just like, well, I'll be on the other end of it someday, but right now, this is what it is. I'm glad I could help deposit into those men.
Wow. Words of maturity. I like that you said that you're going to reap too. You're going to benefit.
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of times we don't think like that. Like, you're going to benefit from somebody else as well. Yeah. We always look at it as I'm helping somebody else to become better. But what about you?
Yep. Absolutely.
I love that. Oh my God. In your mind, how long is too long for the proposal? For marriage?
My mind has changed so much about that just within the past 3 years, right? So
can you tell me your old mindset and then tell me what you think now?
Okay, my old mindset, I used to say no more than 5 years. I used to say that, no more than 5 years, right? But the older I got and the more I started going through relationships and just learning myself, I feel like it's situational. One thing that bugs me, and I actually had a man to pick my brain about this that I was dating, and this is post Kiara thinking that 5 years is the limit. This is mature Kiara realizing that there really shouldn't be a time limit on it. Okay. So he says, well, I think that 5 years should be the minimum. And I wanted him to explain to me why the 5 years, because I had reached a place of maturity where I understood that 5 years doesn't guarantee anything. 2 years, 6 years, 10 years, it doesn't guarantee that I'm the one or not the one for you. And so really when you think about proposing, it's about a feeling. It's about intention. We're being honest. You feel like that's the one. You feel like it's the time and all those things. And he could not justify to me why it had to be 5 years. He just felt like 5 years, within 5 years, somebody. Fast forward, my mindset now, I feel like as men and women within year one, and I'm going to be honest, Sean, I can tell you by date one, if you're somebody that I can see a future with, somebody, and I don't mean husband and wife. I mean, I can sit down with you on date number one and tell if we could be in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, quote unquote, or if we don't match up. I can tell that from sitting, having one conversation with you. So within the first year, we typically know if we can see a future with somebody. That honeymoon phase, for me, it typically wears off within 6 months. So we're having our first fights. I'm seeing the ugly sides of you. And I think that's a big factor. I think let me see how I feel about you after we have trouble. Forget the honeymoon phase. Forget, the Kiara, this lovey-dovey, and, it's all good. We holding hands and walking to the park, and let me see what you are like when you don't like me.
So can you help some of the single folks out with your secret sauce as far as within that first date? Can you give us a little, pull the veil back a little bit?
Okay, well, I see.
Or am I giving away the secret sauce?
I'm gonna go against I'm gonna give my ladies' secret away to a man, but I'll do that. One thing is I have learned to stop telling men what I want. It's giving them the cheat sheet. So if I tell you every single thing that I'm looking for, I can tell you the bare minimum, like you need to be a man of faith, but maybe I don't expound upon it. Like, hey, I'm looking for the man that's going to cover me in prayer when I can't do it for myself. I'm looking for the man who, you know, when I'm being lazy in my word, he says, hey, babe, we need to do this and that. I'm looking for the man that exhibits the qualities that the Bible says a man. So I don't go that deep, even though I know that's what I want. I'm just real surface. Hey, you know, you got to be a man of God. You got to believe in God, right? I don't go into details, you know, where a man could pretty much pull the wool over my eyes, because you know what I want to see and you're going to show me that. So I let the men talk. On date number one, what are your intentions? What do you want? Women lose out a lot, myself included, when we don't learn how to be quiet. I've learned how to be quiet and just let men talk. They're used to us talking. I just sit and listen. And so by the end of it, you showed your hand, you played it, and you don't even know it, because we underestimate that men feel as strongly as we do. We underestimate that men go into things with intentions as much as we do. But like I said, what happens is we usually do all the talking. We do all the talking. We give so much of ourselves away. So you walk away from the day. He knows everything he needs to say to woo you. He knows everything he needs to say to get in your panties, to sweep you off your feet, you know, and you know nothing. So ladies, being quiet goes a long way. Just listen.
Ooh.
Listen. He'll reveal his heart. He'll reveal his intentions. Just listen. If you're going to tell him something about yourself, make it surface. Give him, you know, your basics, your bare minimum, not something that he could use to play you.
Yeah. And you're telling women not to talk. That's going to be a tough sell.
It works. Because let me say this, Sean, I don't have my husband, right? But I also am not sitting around with a broken heart because I've invested in the wrong person.
It's a big difference.
Yes. The timing is getting shorter. I'm going from 3 years, well, started with 4 of wasting time, to 3 years to 4 months. So I've learned how to just call it out early.
I love that. That's some wisdom right there. Yeah, I don't know if you can, if you know, you can drop those gems at 20. I think that's probably, you got to be a little seasoned in the game to.
Yeah. Because in my 20s, I thought there was a time span. Now I will say this, you know, if I had to say what would start raising my eyebrow, even somebody that's confident within timing, I think that after year 3, I do start to look like, what are we doing? So if I had to say, you know, when do my antennas go up? I'm like, about year 3, I start to wonder, like, if you don't know it, because I have learned that most men and women, but men are shocking me. They know what they want. I met a man, like I said, within months, he took me home to meet mom, all the family and friends, and had never taken a girl home before in his 30s. Because he said, I said, how is that you were able to do that these past 10 years, not take a woman home, not take a woman seriously, and you met me and everything he said, because I know what I want. When I was with those women, I knew they weren't what I wanted, and I knew what I wanted when I saw it.
Kiera, so many women underestimate men, because a lot of times I think a lot of women think that we just want to get in your pants and that's it. Now, some of that is true, but
right.
But I will say a man does know what he wants, and from the first time that he meets you, he's going to put you in a category.
Yes.
Especially after that first date, he's going to find out, let me see, is she somebody that I could just kind of screw? Is she somebody that she's arm candy? She isn't that brilliant upstairs, but she's great arm candy. Like, we categorize women. And I don't know if women do the same thing, but we know all the top. If we want to marry you, we know. I mean, my wife and I, we dated long distance. I married her 6 months after meeting her on Instagram.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. And what you just said, Sean, is what I was explaining earlier about, I know after the first date where we are going or not going. Like women, I'm like, we give away so much of our power because, like you said, what y'all are doing as men is what I've learned how to do as a woman. Not assume that everybody that takes the time out to take me out to eat wants something authentic, wants something genuine. I've learned to stop getting so excited that I play myself. I show my hand. So that's exactly what I mean when I said I know about a first date. I know. So, and it doesn't take me long. Like you said, you knew in 6 months. And you asked her, you said you guys got married in 6 months?
Yeah, I proposed to her after 3 months, and we were dating long distance.
Right. That's exactly.
I proposed to her over Skype.
My boy couldn't wait. That's what I'm talking about. But
there was a reason for that, though, Kiera. We weren't going to be able to see each other for at least another 6 weeks as far as travel. So this is pre-pandemic, right? This is 2017.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where I was like, I'm not going to see her for a while, but I went to the mall and I went and bought her ring because I said I knew what she liked. I said, if I find this ring today, that's just confirmation. It's going down if I find this ring. Sure enough, I found it. And I didn't have to look hard. I didn't have to force my hand. It was there. And I was like, okay. And then I proposed to her and over Skype, and I just showed her the ring and I talked to her, will you marry me? Yeah. And the funny thing was she took a picture she did like the ugly sad face, like a picture on Skype. Like she still has the picture. It's the funniest thing ever.
Oh my God. Yeah. So thank you for sharing this, Sean, because you're making my point. That's exactly why I no longer put a cap on it. And that's exactly why, like I said, when I get to the about 3-year mark, I'm raising that brow because I know I've learned without a shadow of a doubt that men do know. And so if you're, hesitant for some reason other than maybe financial, so there are a lot of men that are just like, hey, I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I know you're the one, but I want to do X, Y, and Z. But if you simply are telling me that you don't know within a certain amount of time, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I don't buy that.
Let me ask you this. How do you feel about dating multiple people at one time? Is that one thing that you cool with, or how do you feel about that? What would your advice be?
Oh my God. I personally have never been able to do it. I'm just not, my attention span, and it takes a lot. And let me say this, I think it depends on where you are, right? Like right now, being 7-8 months off of a relationship, I feel like dating. I feel like dating multiple people and letting them know my intentions up front. Hey, I'm just looking to, catch a movie, some dinner, just have some company, pretty much companionship. I'm not, if you're okay with that, great. If not, whatever. So I'm in that mindset now, but I'm just getting to a place where I feel like that's okay and it's healthy. Now, if I know that I am in pursuit of marriage, which I just came out of that season, I am of the thought that it needs to be one at a time, because how intentional can you be about me and me about you, and you're dividing your time. And it takes a lot when you're talking about seriously dating, when you're talking about intentional, purposeful pursuit. That takes a lot of time and effort. And so it's only so much I believe that I can give you and you can give me if that attention is divided.
Yeah, I agree. Because I'm kind of, and I joke around and I say this a lot, that I barely know my wife and we've been married almost 5 years now. I only can imagine trying to date multiple women at one time. That's a lot, trying to remember birthdays and special occasions, and we met at the park, or all this stuff, and I'm getting my women confused. Is a lot. At least for me. Some guys, I don't know, but I like to have that laser sharp focus that I get to know you as an individual, so that way I'm not spreading myself thin, and I can say that I really gave her a fair chance.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you can be in different pockets at one time. Say you got 3 or 4, you got your rotation, But
Yeah,
you like, did you really give other people that fair chance because you're spreading yourself among four people?
absolutely.
But that's my thought process is, I mean,
We're
come
on
on.
the same page. We're
Yeah.
on the same page. I just no, like not when, like you said, you're trying to be intentional about getting to know somebody. It's a hard balance. Like it's just too much. So yeah.
Yeah, because you can take the time, and there's nothing wrong with people if they multiple date. That's what they do. Because I know we live in this social media age where a lot of you just a swipe away, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm done with her swipe, and
Yeah.
you're on to the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, absolutely. And with what you just said, I'm about to do it again. I'm about to interview you. How do you feel about this new age dating where men and women are just easily accessible, right? So I don't have to deal with you being a chase and investing in you because I know Sally Sue, like you said, it's just a swipe away. I'm just whatever. Nobody really wants to. One of my good friends, and I was talking about this other day, nobody really wants to stay and do the work because it's just like I have everything and everybody at my fingertips. Like literally just.
Yeah, that's scary. To me, it's scary. I don't know if you was finished asking your question or not, but I'm listening.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you, like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think depending on how you wired, because I'm old school, right? I'll be 45 in February. So yeah. I'm kind of from the thought process that when I went to go buy gas, that's all they sold was gas. You went in there and maybe you want to grab a honey bun and stuff like that. But now when you go to the gas station, they got screens in the gas station and they saying you can buy hot dogs and lap dances and all kind of crap. I'm not lap dances. Not lap dances. But that's how many options they give you just to go get gas. So I'm thinking, to me, it might be too much. It might be too much, but it depends on how you wire, because I understand in today's age, these kids, they're born with iPhones in their hands.
Yeah.
So they might be used to just, all over the place, here, there. So I think it could be dangerous, but it can be beneficial. To just depends on the user. But I think too, a lot of relationships can really go south because there's always some fine woman on Instagram. Always, right?
Betty, I'm not gonna lie. I be on Instagram and I be like, thank God I ain't a man. I don't think I be wholesome, meek, and mild. I'm just being honest. Like, it's so much temptation on there, and I'm a woman that's very comfortable. Anybody tell you, Jason will tell you, like, I think I'm the most comfortable woman when it comes to compliment other women. I think women are so beautiful, and I'm just like, dang, they just getting better and better with time. Like, if I was a man, like, I do understand the temptation. I really do. You got to be, like you said, Sean, you got to be really wired a different way to resist all the temptation that's in front of us today. Like, you just got to have it here.
Yep.
You got to.
Yep. To me, it boils down to, and don't get me wrong, nobody's above temptation.
Right.
Because people, I think the biggest misconception that people get from marriage is once I'm married, everybody else gets ugly. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not going to see anybody else fine.
I'm married, not blind.
Yeah, right. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people get with marriage. So temptation will be there. I think it boils down to your moral compass and you know what? Yeah, I ain't gonna even talk about that because this is about you, not about me.
The moral compass.
Yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta, and for me, I guess I'm being transparent. I see fine women all the time.
Absolutely.
And I'm living in Texas. It's like all the women are beautiful in Texas, right? So here's the thing. I always project forward. Like, I have way too much to lose.
Absolutely.
And then I'm thinking, what will my kids say about me 20 years from now that I cheated on their mom? Like, I'm thinking of this stuff way down the road. Because I was listening to Will Smith book, And Will Smith was talking about his dad. And then in my head, I'm thinking, but I wonder what will my boys say about me? So that kind of helps keep me on the straight and narrow. And of course, I love my wife too. I would never want to do anything to disrespect her. But what are they going to say? I don't want to sound morbid, but what are they going to say at my funeral? I think that's something that keeps me at bay. And then my personal relationship with God, because he always keep me on a short leash. Like, Kiera, I can't get away with anything.
Not when you truly called by God.
Yeah, I can't get away with stuff. I can't go sleep with 700 women, and I can't do all that stuff. I just can't get away with anything. So yeah, that's what it boils down to. God, I have a link this big in my chain, how close I am to God. So whenever I get out of character, he's like, boy, you know better.
That conviction kick in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a key in dating, because I think that was my thing with my wife and I. She has a moral compass, and she had that personal relationship with God. So I think that's something that I really value.
Absolutely.
You wrote in your book about the old saying, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone new. Do you think that's an effective way to recover from a previous relationship?
Hey, no.
Because people believe this, Kiera.
Yeah, and I did too, right? Hence why I put that quote in my book, because from chapters 2 through 5, Sean, I lived by that. And we saw the end result of all those situations. Chapter 2 was called Patchwork Heart Intentionally. That's where I got it from, the name, because I literally was just patching it up. I wasn't really healing it. I was just patching it up with the next guy that showed me some attention, the next guy that could make me essentially forget about all the pain that I was experiencing from the last dude, right? Just patching it up. And so I don't believe that. It was not until I was able to really lay my pain at God's feet and face it myself, because that's hard. I can't tell you how far in a depression I was and didn't even realize it. And I had to just sit there, because I was just like, God, I would rather just be alone and broken with you than to let another man make me feel this. But we talking about 3-4 guys later. Right? So even when I knew better, because I knew better before I completely stopped getting under another guy to get over the list. I knew better a long time ago. But it just took me to be completely broken down for the last time, and not recognizing myself and not feeling healthy. And like you said, when you're truly called by God, that conviction won't let you go.
Yeah.
It won't let you go. And I was just like, oh my God, like, who is this person? Who is this person that's settling for these subpar men? I hate to say it, no disrespect to them, but that's what they were at the time. And that's who they presented themselves to be to me. Doesn't mean they weren't great men, but they were not great to me. Right. One chapter, as I was writing it, I started crying, because I couldn't believe that, one, I allowed somebody to treat me that way, and two, somebody would allow themselves to treat somebody so terrible in a state of vulnerability. So ladies and gentlemen, because men do it too. Yes. Men move on like this. They move on like this.
I did.
Yeah. Nobody wants to deal with the pain. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to face it. And so it is not worth it just to prove a point, because most of the time we're trying to prove a point to their ex.
Yep.
And it's not worth it just out of fear of being alone. It's not worth it. What you lose in the end, it's not worth it to get under somebody else.
Yeah. Because you can have a hole in the wall and put a picture over the hole, but at the end of the day, there's still a hole in the wall.
Still a hole.
Yeah.
And it just delays the inevitable, because what is inevitable is that you're going to have to face that you're broken. You're going to face it. You either gonna face it by yourself and with God, because he's, always there. You're gonna either choose to do it that way, or you're gonna keep facing it in the next person.
That is
You
so
just gonna
true.
take it to the next person.
That is so true, because life is connected, right? And me and Jason was talking about this the other day. Life is connected, because don't think that anything is just an isolated incident.
Absolutely.
Whatever you've been through with somebody in year number 2, if you don't heal, you're going to still deal with that pain 3 or 4 guys later.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. You just shifting it to the next person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I've been waiting to ask you this question, and that's why I saved it for last. Because we love the Lord, and we go to church, and all the good stuff. So do you feel that the church has done a good job with teaching on marriage and relationships? What are your take on that?
Growing up, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Growing up, you hear the basics, and I am a traditional Baptist to the heart. Hymns, congregational hymns, front row. I sang in the choir, St. Peter's Rock Choir. I did not, as an adult, now I realize looking back, there was nothing that equipped me for truly loving another person unconditionally, right? What you hear is the surface, the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Oh, be wed, don't shack up, that gets beat in your head, don't have premarital sex, and all of these things that remind you of Old Testament law, the law, right?
Yes.
Just the law, not this is how you love, and this is how a marriage, you get to see a marriage through 20 plus years. No one gave me that. No one gave me that, not in the church. And, I don't think it was intentional. Sometimes you realize the church failed you because they don't know. They're going just, before God in a surface way. But I will say, shout out to my pastor. I'm a member of Higher Dimension Church. Are you familiar with Higher D?
I don't think so.
It's okay. Mm-hmm. Me, you, wife, Jason, all of us, we're going to have to do a group trip. But I'm a member of Higher Dimension Church. And my pastor is Terrence Johnson, First Lady Torsha Johnson, so Pastor J and Lady J. They have done a phenomenal job. I moved here from Mississippi, born and raised. I moved here to Texas in 2013. My first friend that I made took me to Higher Dimension Church, and I became a member in 2014. From that point on, I started really getting equipped with what it takes to really do life with somebody. Mm. So they have a book, and they have this event. It's a sermon series we have every year called The Answer. And it's literally there to give you answers about relationships, all the tools, to really equip you. Like I said earlier, when you don't like the person, when you don't like your husband, you don't love you just don't feel like it. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you continue to choose them again and again and again? Mm-hmm. And more importantly, how do you fight in the spirit? Because the thing that they focus on is, no, we don't. We didn't always like each other, and we wanted to give up. And the only thing that saved us was fighting in the spirit. So as a Christian, it's important that we learn how to fight in the spirit when you got two egos involved, when you got emotions involved, because when you're bumping heads, that's all it is. That's flesh. There's flesh against flesh. There's flesh against flesh. So the only thing to bring you back to earth, the only thing to ground you, is to go back to the word and say, hey, I feel this way, you feel this way, but this is what God says. This is what God says. This is how we should be loving each other. This is how we handle this situation. So I think that the church is getting better about being transparent about the ugly parts of marriage. Everybody wants to talk about the rainbows and unicorns, and God created marriage and it's so beautiful. And it is, but we all know that faith without works is dead. So marriage is meant to be beautiful, but what makes it beautiful? Just when you're in a honeymoon phase, or the fact that, we fought through almost getting divorced. We fought through infidelity. We fought through financial issues. I was prideful towards my husband. I was prideful towards my wife. I tore them down, and we made it through that season. I think, your perception of beauty changes when you realize that the beauty came from ashes, quote unquote ashes. So yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bonus question for you.
Wow, okay. I'm ready.
Bonus question, because you dropped so many gems today. I could just pick your brain forever. We can keep this thing going.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Do you feel, and whether through your experience or what you see in culture today, do you feel that marriage is dying? Do you feel like marriage is maybe almost outdated? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. I literally was just talking to a friend yesterday. I'm so passionate about it, being a woman of faith. Everybody has, made marriage this societal thing. And it's not about society. I'm disappointed. I was telling my friend yesterday, I said, people say marriage is just a piece of paper. And, we've even seen it, I'm sure you have, Sean, I never thought I'd see the day where marriage became a trend even. It's a trend for the people who are doing it. They're not, doing it for the right reason. I want to post my ring on social media. I want to post my wedding. I want to get the most likes. I'm just like, people have subjected marriage to a societal thing when it's very much a spiritual thing.
Yep.
Nobody is fearful. You got all these people doing open marriages. Nobody is fearful of the consequence of violating a covenant. No one truly understands. I'm just like, the fact that so many people say it's only a piece of paper, the fact that so many people have reframed marriage to look how they want it to look, lets you know that it's dying. It's dying. I can count on one hand, and not even a full one hand, the number of marriages that I look up to, because it's rooted in biblical principles. Not that it's perfect, but right, that they understand the sacredness of marriage. Like, the sacredness is just thrown away. It's just a piece of paper.
It's just for the ground. Yeah. I'm just getting married for the ground.
Yeah. We know people do that.
Yeah,
we know people would do that. So yeah, I definitely think it's dying. And one of the things that I really, really wanted people to get from my book is the spiritual principles. Right? Like, it wasn't that I was perfect, that I wasn't living in sin, but God kept me. These are the prayers I said to get free. This is what I'm still praying and believing in him for. And until I see that, I'm not going to play with marriage, because I truly fear God. Mm-hmm. I truly fear disappointing him. I truly, believe in the principles of a covenant agreement. And so until then, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do it. We're not going to settle.
No, that's right. Well, maybe you should start you a podcast.
Maybe. I've thought about it in the past, because when I wrote my book, it's funny, all my friends laugh, and they were really excited, because it was like, well, I'm the go-to person for relationship advice, right? Mm-hmm. And it's ironic, right? The irony is that I'm not in a relationship. And so a lot of people equate not being in a relationship with, oh, how can you tell me? And I'm just like, well, I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you that I'm not in a relationship because I understand what a relationship should look like. I could be in a relationship. But because of what God has on my life, what's attached to me, I can't just be with anybody. I can't just be with anybody. And so I thought about it. I thought about, dropping some nuggets and, just feeding back into my women and men. Like, men go through the stuff that's in that book. Men go through those sticky situations. They do. They hurt just like, you guys hurt just like we do. Y'all have the same questions that we do. So I thought about it, Sean. We'll talk more off record, and we'll see.
Yeah, I got you. Anything you need help with, I got you. Maybe you can come up with a podcast called The Gift of Goodbye, and you teach.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And you teaching people how to walk away from unhealthy relationships and what that relationship looked like for you and God after that relationship.
Absolutely.
There you go, your podcast. I'm not going to charge you for it, but there you go.
Thank you for the gems. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna pray on that. It takes a lot of work, right? It's so commendable. Thank you for what you're doing on your platform. But I watch people who do podcasts and I'm like, oh man, that takes a lot of time. And see, I can do the time. I'm committed, to helping save spirits and helping people be restored. But I'm like, man, that technology, all that technology. Sean, let me tell you, I'm 32 and I act like I'm at least 62 when it comes to technology. I can't do it. I didn't get a smartphone until my college graduation.
Really?
I'm not lying to you.
Okay, well, I'll give you a pass then. Since you got an iPhone that late in the game, I'll give you a pass. I'll help you out if you need help. No, it's all good. It's all good. No pressure, but no, I just love what you're doing. Women of faith, because there's so much, I don't want to say trash, but there's a lot of people out here who's not talking about nothing, that's starting podcasts, that got YouTube channels, and
absolutely
so many people have built platforms from bitterness. And I'm just like, we need more healthy voices like you out here in these podcast streets.
Thank you. Not the podcast streets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for what you do, for what you stand for with God, and giving your wisdom, and putting yourself out there. Through your hurt, somebody else could possibly be healed. Thank you for that. Thank you for the book that you've written, and continue to just impact souls, because you're needed out here. And I really believe that there's some people that's called to you, and it doesn't have to be a million people. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It can just be a certain amount of people. But use your voice to continue to empower, because we need that in this day and age, because I think this is like the last days. Who knows with this world?
For sure, man. For sure. We got some souls to save. We got some life to live, because these days are looking real foggy. It's looking real bleak.
Yeah. So that's what I was just saying. I just want to commend you for everything you do. Continue to do what you're doing. Brave Hearts community, make sure that you go pick up a copy of Sticky Situations, the gift.
Hold up yours. Yay.
The gift of goodbye. And Kiara, let everyone know how they can purchase a copy of your book. And I got mine's autographed. I got mine's in here.
Yes.
My little autograph, you know what I'm saying? So let everyone know how they can purchase your book.
Absolutely, guys. If you want to purchase, which I pray that you do, Sticky Situations, the gift of goodbye, you can go to Sticky Situations GG, as in gift of goodbye, .com, and order it, and it'll be to you like that. Sean will tell you, getting these books out quick. So yeah, you can go there and purchase. There's a PayPal link, there's a card link, everything that you need right there.
And then can you give us your socials and how everyone can get in contact with you on social media?
Absolutely. So I don't have a page for the book, but if you want to follow me directly, my Instagram is Blue Beauty. There's BLU. Yes, I intentionally left off the E. B3AUTY. Well, BLU _. Sorry, it's an underscore between the blue and beauty on Instagram.
Okay, and I'll make sure I have that linked up on the YouTube channel as well, so that way people can follow you on Instagram.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kiara, once again for being a guest on the Scared to Remarry podcast. Brave Hearts community, you know what's up. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share this video with a friend, because you never know who needs to hear this message. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you get your podcast platform, that you can listen to this in audio form, as well as watching this on video. This is Sean Heineman at Scared to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. Take care, people.